Expensive and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them. With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise. No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures. It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
My name is Mary Grace. I lost my mom to Alzheimer's in 2017. And 2 months after losing her, my dad was diagnosed. The earlier the diagnosis you have, the more time you have with your loved one. With my dad, now that I know what's coming, I'm able to create memories not only for him, but for myself. So when he can't remember, I'll remember for him.
For more information, contact us at alz.org or through the 24/7 helpline at 800-272-3900. Sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association.
Hey, everybody, it's Mark Asher back to tell you about my great friends at the Lund Mortgage Team. Did you know that the Lund Mortgage Team was founded back in 1999? That's right. They're celebrating 25 years in existence this year. And you know what you have to do to stay in business that long? You have to be good at what you do. And the Lund Mortgage Team is not just good, they are great. They have helped thousands of people save thousands of dollars over those 25 years here in the Valley of the Sun. They only lend in Arizona. And they're mortgage brokers, which means they can shop your rate around. They're not tied to just one set of rates. Mortgage rates can get crazy. They can get high. They can get low. There's good times to strike, and there's times to stay on the sideline. Let the Lund Mortgage Team be your coach, be your team leader when it comes to these huge decisions. Call 623-875-9940. That's 623-875-9940, or you can always check them out at lundmortgage.com. Great website with all the tools you need. Call them today. They're my great friends, and you'll love them. It's the Lund Mortgage Team.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And we're back on the air. It's Beat the Book. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me, our betting expert, Dylan Cohen. This is 1580 The Fanatic, broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios in sunny uptown Scottsdale. And today on the show, we're going to get to some of our picks from last night. Some good, some bad. That long shot parlay just didn't quite get there. We'll get to that too. On the text line, if you want to talk to us about your night betting, did it go well for you? Did you have a long shot that actually struck gold? We'd like to know. 888-368-1580. That's Beat the Book if you want to interact with the show, because you are part of the show. And Dylan, who powers the show?
We are powered by Sport Trade, which is the newest sports book that will be launching here in Arizona. More than likely before the end of the month. We will keep you all up to date on when that launch date is determined. They are just going through some final motions with the Arizona Gaming Commission to get everything set up. All the I's got to get dotted, the T's have to get crossed. So it's a process, but they're going to make it through. For now, you can search Sport Trade. You can get your account set up. Make sure to check out all the different perks and features of Sport Trade. We talk about them nonstop on this program, so you'll hear about some of those from us. But the biggest thing that we've been stressing this week is stop betting on normal American odds. Minus 120, plus 240, that's all stuff of the past. The way you got to look at this now is, what is the percent likelihood that what I'm betting on is actually going to win? And you can do that through Sport Trade, which it's kind of wild that no one else has kind of gravitated towards this, but
I think that's because of Sport Trade. Is there's transparency is their priority, and I do think that books kind of like it when we're not really thinking in that way. So
most books don't want you to be smart about how you go about this.
No, they want you to just throw money at them. Basically, they build very many large and strange structures in a desert in Las Vegas because people throw money at them, sometimes foolishly, actually, oftentimes foolishly. Sport Trade's trying to do it a little bit differently by basically saying, look, we're gonna give you everything you need as a bettor to be successful. by the way, not just on our platform, but other platforms. And you can use those tools however you like. And that's awesome.
They don't want to be the schoolyard bully that just, punches you in the stomach and takes your lunch money. They want to be your friend. They want to be your partner in this ongoing battle that takes place every single day with, anyone that listens to this show and does what, we do, which is bet on sports, because it just does not stop. Every day there's something to bet on. It's a new day. It's a new fight. And, improve your chances of winning that fight just by placing your bets through Sporttrade and utilizing all the tools that they offer to, help you get as much insight as possible on, what you're actually betting on. So, to that point, made me kind of wish that I could have leveraged Sporttrade yesterday.
would have been pretty helpful.
Would have been nice to get some additional insights. Now, that being said, I'm not saying that, all these picks I put out yesterday were losers. Definitely wasn't one of the better days for Beat the Book, but we had some notable things happen that wanted to make sure that we were able to cover. The first pick that is on the Beat the Book website from yesterday, and by the way, there's a couple different ways you can get to this website. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is @BeatTheBookFanatic, all spelled out. Just click the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the site where the picks are posted. Likewise, you can visit 1580thefanatic.com. Scroll down, click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo. That'll also take you right to the same place. Or you can just search it in your browser, Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen. You're probably going to end up where you need to get to, where all these picks are posted. But the first one from yesterday was a play on the WNBA, and it was for the Minnesota Lynx to win money line against the Connecticut Sun. And this game proved to be quite the game. Very, very good TV. If you're a basketball purist, you got treated to a nice competitive game where the Lynx did come out on top. And it was a little bizarre how that game was priced yesterday, because the line was very close, but it was leaning to the Sun. The Sun were actually the favorite in that game with the worst overall record. Biggest reasons being that, the Lynx had not managed to beat the Sun yet in the WNBA season. The Sun are the number 3 team overall. The Lynx are the number 2 team overall. So 2 very capable teams going at it. But the opportunity that we felt like was there yesterday, which did prove out to be the case, was that the Lynx should have been the favorite coming into this. They were 11-1 after the Olympic break. They are just wide and far the hottest team in the WNBA. They proved it again last night. So they came through, they won on the money line. That was really great to see. The other pick, and this is where things start to get a little funky with how some of these picks shook out yesterday. It was in Major League Baseball for the Houston Astros and San Diego Padres game. The pick was for betting on the Padres to win. That was also a money line play. They were a slight favorite yesterday after defeating the Astros the day before. But this is a clash of 2 just elite teams in baseball that are going to be in the postseason. And it was always something where, more than likely the end result was going to be very close. In this case, it was about as close as it could have got. The game actually ended up going into extra innings. Keon, we didn't actually talk about this before the show. Did you see this whole weird episode with like Jose Altuve taking off his shoe and then they ejected him for doing that
on Twitter? It was very confusing. I'm not understanding exactly what he thought the argument was going to be once he removed his shoe. The umpire was just
look at this red around my big toe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand that's what you were showing me. Now you're actually correct. Like, they were never going to say that. Why'd you take your shoe off? That's just so crazy to me.
The optics of that whole episode were just bizarre. I mean, very entertaining. And I mean, I don't know if you could see, I mean, the game was in San Diego. So you've got all these Padres fans that are sitting like right behind home plate, and they're going nuts. I mean, this is the other team's leadoff hitter, arguably their best hitter, now getting ejected in the 9th inning. So things are, looking your way. I mean, that's if anyone's going to get ejected on the Houston Astros, probably want it to be Jose Altuve.
Yeah.
So
the guy that can put the ball in play basically at any point.
One of the best leadoff hitters in all of baseball. So, the Astros end up losing him, but in extra innings, they still managed to get a run in the top of the 10th. The Padres were not able to get the runner that starts at second base in extra innings back in. So they ended up losing 4-3. So we lost that second pick on the Padres. So we split the picks yesterday, 1-1. Now, where the really entertaining part of all of this came in was for anyone that happened to ride the long shot parlay of the day yesterday.
Which I may or may not have been doing.
I
and it seemed like it was easy breezy until the very end.
Now that we're talking about it, I guess I feel a little bit bad for trying to advertise that to you yesterday and talking you into
the thing is
taking this ride with me.
The thing is, it was close. It was close. I'm sorry. I don't regret being talked into it by you because it was close. I just think that I'm not happy with Diana Taurasi right now. That's all. That's it's my beef is with a specific Mercury player.
Well, let me set the stage here for everyone. At the bottom of each daily post I make, there's this little section. It says in bold, long shot parlay. And Monday through Friday, I am posting a different parlay here. Generally, it's going to be 3 legs. Sometimes it might be 4 legs. The odds on it are going to be at a minimum 20-1 or longer. And we have hit one of these so far in the history of this show. And because of the long odds of this, and I'll have to go back and kind of do the numbers and the accounting on it, I believe we're still up lifetime because these things just pay out so much. So these are wagers that I'm not recommending you use a very large unit size on. But if you've got an extra $3 to $4 or $5 to spare and you want to put it on something, I would definitely recommend taking a look at that long shot parlay. These are not just, some random hodgepodge of, higher paying, riskier legs that I just throw together. There is a reason, there is thought that goes into this. I'm just going to spare everyone the novel of, why I'm choosing these things.
Yeah, like the thing that I like about them is if you choose to bet those separately, they're pretty consistent in hitting, but when you parlay them together, the payout is potentially outrageous. And we got one earlier in the year, and that was very nice. My wallet was happy. But that sometimes you have ones like last night and we've had a few of these where the first 2 legs hit right away, and then the third one, that's the one where something goes funky at the end. It gets weird, it gets wonky, and then you don't quite hit the parlay that I had a $3 bet that would have paid out like $113, and Diana Taurasi was 7 points short.
So, well, and what's funny is like the context of all these different times where we like just narrowly miss. Like, I mean, it's kind of comical, like how different these sort of reasons for why these things don't win can like vary. So here's basically what happened. This was the 3-leg parlay yesterday. It was Matt Olson to hit a home run. He plays for the Atlanta Braves. They were playing in Cincinnati against the Reds. Matt Olson is now on a 4-game streak at the Cincinnati Reds Stadium, where each game he has hit a home run. And this is going back to last season. So yesterday, that streak was at 3. He had not been able to play a game yet in Cincinnati. So that was an opportunity that AI helped me detect. And that was why that was included on that parlay. Matt Olson goes up for his first at bat yesterday. What does he do? He hits a home run.
Jack.
Quick and easy. And those, those home run parlays, those are or the home run legs on the parlay. Those are generally going to be the harder, things that I'm going to put on something like this. So, whenever you have that one guy, you need to get a home run and that hits right away. That's like the best possible thing you can see. That just gives you confidence. It gives
and then
hope.
You don't have to spend 9 innings sweating out, he's gotten on base a couple of times, but boy, it'd be really nice if he hit a home run right now.
Right.
In the 8th inning of a game, sitting there going, wait, I don't even watch the Reds. Now I'm locked in.
So, the first leg of this, it hits very quick, very easy, exactly what we want. Now, the next leg was going back to that Minnesota Lynx game, and it was taking them to win by a margin of 1 to 10 points specifically. And the rationale behind this was, the Lynx are 11-1 since the Olympic break. Yes, they have not beat the Connecticut Sun yet, but given how they've been playing very recently, they haven't faced the Sun in a couple of months. This is a much different team now.
And they were close games when they played before.
Always close games whenever they played before. The Sun in both of their wins never won by more than like 4 or 5 points. So then, in addition to that, the Connecticut Sun, out of all of their losses this year, when you look at the home losses, none of them have exceeded 10 points. So those two things together were things that made that bet stand out. And on its own, that leg was paying very close to 2-1. If you happen to be listening to the show yesterday, as I was quickly going over the picks towards the end of the show, I did shout out, hey, anyone that's looking for, something that's got a little bit more juice to it, you can bet on this win margin play. This one should be just as good as taking the Lynx to win money line. So, what happens in that game? As I said before, very close matchup. The Lynx had actually really been winning most of the game by like 8 or 9 points, but fourth quarter comes around, Connecticut Sun turned it on. They went on like a 14-3 run to go from being down about 9 points to being up about like 3 points. So then, there's like about a minute left. It's getting, pretty tense. Don't want to see the Lynx down at this point. They keep fighting. They get a clutch bucket from Nafisa Collier. They ended up retaking the lead. Then the Sun in like the final 30 seconds hit a bucket. Now they go up 2, or actually I think they're up 1. And then with 3 seconds left in the game, Bridget Carlton of the Minnesota Lynx dribbles ball down the court, takes a 3-pointer, swishes.
Dagger.
And then the Lynx, the Sun at that point had a reset timeout to try and make something happen, and they ended up just throwing the ball away, and the game was over. So I texted Keon. I may have almost had a stroke, but that leg happened. It hit. So now we're looking at this parlay. The Mercury and the Sparks game wasn't even going to start for another hour and a half, and we're feeling pretty damn good about this bet.
Yeah, to the point where I made the bet on FanDuel, and FanDuel was like, "Would you like to cash out $30?"
Oh, I was looking at that too.
You bet 3, you could walk away with 30, and I just felt so good about the last one. And this is another one of those moments where like I had the thought, I genuinely had this thought. Kind of wish this was Sport Trade right now. Then I could cash out some of it
and just secure a little bit of profit and then let the rest of it ride.
Yep.
Kind of see how it goes. Absolutely read my mind there. And I have texted Alex Kane like multiple times. I've been like I have this parlay going on and I'm really frustrated because if this was with you guys, I could at least get my money back right now. And then I could just be, stress-free, not totally stress-free, but there's no risk of me losing anything at this point. I can profit off the fact that I was 2/3 right. And then the other 1/3 of this we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, like it's actually crazy because once you realize like that's an option, like a person could offer you that, you can't go back to being okay with either I cash all of this out and the ride's over, or I let it ride, and then if I lose, I've lost everything. The ability to split that, I can't wait for that. That I think is probably the most exciting part of this. And there are so many exciting parts of this.
Well, definitely make sure if you're listening, tune in on Friday because Alex Kane is going to be back on the program. And this exact thing that we're talking about, being able to cash out, partially, so that way you can secure some profit. This is exactly the kind of thing that Alex wants to go over. So we're going to learn more about it this coming Friday. But getting back to this story here, the final leg on this 3-leg long shot parlay that we needed, it was for Diana Taurasi to score 20 or more points in the Sparks and Mercury game. The logic on this one was pretty simple. Diana had played the Sparks twice so far this season. Each time she had 20 or more points. Kalia Copper was out with an injury, so you've got your leading scorer out. More of the scoring responsibility is then going to fall to Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi. So with her history of already getting there with Kalia Copper playing, and now you pull Copper out, it seems, like a pretty good rationale, good, like wisdom behind that.
More of the scoring load goes her way. The 20 points seems like that's much more probable, and she gets there most nights.
And then what ends up happening is she's taken a lot of the shots in the first quarter. They're just not falling.
Yeah.
much to our, misery.
Yeah.
And by halftime, she happens to only have 3 points, and she's shooting like 1 of 8 field goals. It's pretty miserable. But then something crazy happens in this game. And I'm texting Keon as this is going on. We're talking about how bummed we are, oh, it's not going to pan out. And then all of a sudden, there's this little scuffle between Brittany Griner and Rakia Jackson on the Sparks. And it was minor. I mean, you could like barely call it a scuffle, but it was just enough to where
that you had to toss some people.
Refs got together, got on the phone with league office, whoever they have to consult on this kind of a thing, and they came away and they said, "You're both done." So now Brittany Griner is getting ejected from this game along with Rakia Jackson. And who is left on the Mercury to score points? It's Diana Taurasi. So
yeah,
I mean, I got a little bit of hope here. I was texting some people. I'm like, hold on. I know this looks crazy. I know this feels kind of crazy, but if you pull away, Kalia Copper and Brittany Griner, the offense of the Mercury is Diana Taurasi at that point. And then the third quarter starts.
And it really was her.
She scored 10 points in like the first 6 minutes of the third quarter. So all of a sudden, now we're back. Now it's like, oh man, we're right back in this. She only needs 7 more points. Mercury started to get on a bit of a run. They got up about 12 or 14 points. Taurasi got put on the bench with about 3 minutes left in the third, which was normal at the time. She'd played the whole quarter. She needed to get some rest. But then you start to kind of see everything evolving, and now you're seeing the situation for what it is. And the situation was, this game means absolutely nothing to the Mercury. They're up double digits, and win or lose, they're locked into their fate with the Lynx now that the Lynx, won. So does it make a whole lot of sense for us to play Diana at this point? Probably not. And they never put her back in the game after that. She sat out the entire fourth quarter. She ended with 13 points. And that was how we lost the long shot parlay yesterday.
It's a long, wild, and wacky story, but it was funny. It didn't make all of those games more interesting. So to me, like that there was some value in it, that I sweat out multiple games that normally I wouldn't watch. I wouldn't watch like the last Mercury game of the year if they already have a playoff spot. It really didn't affect their seeding at all. They were pretty much locked in where they were. It didn't affect anything. And I don't think I've ever cared about a game that didn't matter more than that one last night.
I mean, that's kind of the beauty of all of this. And now all these leagues can just point to all of this increased viewership and interest in their product due to the dynamic of being able to bet on it.
You have to think it's a factor. The week 1 NFL, the season opener, Ravens, Chiefs, highest rated season opener ever. And then you had last week, CBS had their highest rated football game ever. I can't even remember what game it was. It was one of the just afternoon games. Sports betting is making a factor in some of these ratings, because you watch games you wouldn't normally watch, or a game is completely out of hand and you've got a player prop going. So you're not done watching the game, even though, whatever team is down 25 points. You're still interested because
they hold you invested in it.
Yeah, there's something at stake, even if the game's no longer at stake. There's something at stake for you, and that's really how that goes. So we'll come back. We'll talk a little college football coming around the corner, and then we'll get to the picks to wrap up the show for tonight. Moist One, I see you on the text line. I chuckled at what you said, but I will not be reading that out loud. Anyway, here we are. Beat the book. 1580 The Fanatic. We'll be right back.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Live and local.
Keep a safe distance when driving near a truck. This message from Valleywide Fleet Maintenance of Peoria, serving the entire Valley of the Sun, specializing in semi-truck repair and maintenance. Mobile service, they come to you. That's Valleywide Fleet Maintenance. Also available 24/7 for roadside assistance. Call your truck service professionals at 623-693-9266. 623-693-9266, or visit vwfleetmaintenance.com. Also, follow them on Facebook.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake. and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil Nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
My pain is considerable, but that prescription is dangerous. The side effects of my medicine are worse than my condition.
I'm in recovery. I can't take those pills.
When faced with a health crisis, you shouldn't have to choose between risks.
At the Naturopathic Physicians Group in Scottsdale, our medical doctors are experts in full spectrum care using a natural approach. Patients come in for a variety of issues, including joint pain, chronic conditions, and issues specific to men's and women's health. Our naturopathic doctors can restore pain-free joint function and restore balance in immune, digestive, and hormone systems, which often improves immediate physical symptoms without having you take a bunch of pills. If traditional medicines aren't working, don't you think it's time to start feeling like yourself again? Call Naturopathic Physicians Group at 480-451-6161. That's 480-451-6161. Or go to naturopathicgroup.com.
Did you know you can track the status of your early ballot this fall? If you're planning to vote by mail for the November election, Arizona offers text and email updates, so you can track your vote. Know when your early ballot is sent and received in Arizona. With Ballot Tracks, registering is simple. Sign up at arizona.vote or call 877-843-8683. Track your vote this fall. Visit arizona.vote to sign up today. This message is sponsored by the Arizona Secretary of State's office.
We are getting ready to crown a champion.
Championship weekend is coming back to the desert.
Let's get this party started.
4 title races in 3 days means there will be a buzz in the air all weekend long. Whether from the grandstands, the infield experience, or the hillside, this is your chance to witness history and make championship caliber memories for the whole family. NASCAR Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway, November 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com.
If it's local, we talk about it. 1580 and 99.3. The Fanatics.
So we're going to take some time to talk a little college football today because tomorrow is an NFL Thursday night football. We're not going to have a whole lot of time tomorrow. Friday, as always, we have Sport Trade CEO Alex Kane on in segment 2 on Fridays to break down some things with Sport Trade, how they're changing the game, and what those apps are going to do for you when you all get the opportunity to get your hands on it. So we're trying to figure out a good time to get to a college football conversation, and now seemed like as good a time as any. So lots of interesting matchups this weekend, though.
Yeah, and seems like it's like for the first week so far in college football, I mean, we finally get like multiple, ranked team versus ranked team matchups, which is pretty exciting. Just looking over the slate, we'll go through some of these in order, and for each one of these, it'll be kind of similar to yesterday, just kind of a light look, take a look at the game, where the betting market's at, see if there's any immediate opportunities we might be able to, recognize here to throw out to, anyone that's listening. The first one is a matchup that's actually this coming Friday night, and it is number 24 Illinois taking on Nebraska, number 22. And I personally have not watched a lot of Illinois football this year. I am a bit familiar with Nebraska. Nebraska has done well by me this year so far. So, personally, I definitely feel very good about them. I was on them to cover the spread against Colorado, which hit. I was on them to cover the spread last week against University of Northern Iowa. That also hit. And that was like a very close, very like late game. I mean, the spread was 30.5. The final score last week for Nebraska was 34-3. And the way that they ended up covering the spread was they held UNI for 4 straight downs, like at the goal line to end the game. I mean, you could not, have a more stressful situation for anyone that needed Nebraska to cover. And it was important to them in that moment to prevent points. Their defense takes a lot of pride in what they do. Was very happy to see that. And they did end up covering the spread there. I'm not sure what the spread was for their first game against UTEP, but given that the final score was 40-7, I'm going to guess that they probably covered that too.
I'm actually trying to see if I can pull it up right now because it might have the
original
line.
pregame line.
So the pregame line was they covered it. It was 27.5.
So Nebraska 3 straight covers so far to start the year. And again, I mean, this is not going to be the most insightful analysis, but I mean, naturally, I'm leaning towards Nebraska on who I would bet on for this game. They're currently priced on the money line at -315, so not a whole lot of value there when you're looking to take them on the money line. The point spread is currently at 7.5, favoring Nebraska.
And you might want, if you're going Nebraska to cover the spread, you might want to move on that now because it was 6 yesterday. It's moving to become a larger gap in favor of the Cornhuskers.
So, or if you want to be a little conservative, you can still always play an alternate spread to try and draw that line back to where, you feel like it's going to be appropriate. I mean, are there any immediate kind of insights you have on this one, or have you seen the Illini yet this year? Because that's kind of my sort of gray area on this, I'd say.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of Illinois, and obviously they're a really good football team too. They're ranked for a reason. They're 3-0, and I think that when you look at the teams that they've played, I don't think that they have played teams nearly as tough as Nebraska, but they have beaten up the teams that they were supposed to beat up too. They go to Eastern Illinois, handle them 45-0. So I'm guessing that's a cover, whatever that was. And then Central Michigan, they beat them 30-9. And then they got a win against Kansas, which it's not a very good Kansas team, but it is a Kansas team that has some talent on it at spots, including their quarterback. So I do think that Illinois, quality team, but I find Nebraska to be better, and I do like their quarterback better. I know both of these quarterbacks have been very good, but Dylan Raiola at Nebraska is one of those quarterbacks that I think is interesting, and for a couple of reasons. One, Dylan Raiola is an enormous person that just moves around the pocket like he's a much smaller player. He's very light on his feet. The other thing is that Dylan Raiola makes me feel old because he is clearly a player that grew up watching Patrick Mahomes. Like just the way he plays, the no look passes, a lot of the stuff that you see with Mahomes on a Sunday. Raiola clearly took a lot of inspiration from that because that's how he plays the game. And it leads to a lot of very big plays. And I think a lot of players try to mimic that style. Doesn't work for everybody. It works very well for him.
It's funny you mentioned that because it just kind of got me thinking about how, like in basketball, for example, like very, very common to hear, new upcoming players as they're coming into the league. They'll talk about how they watch Kevin Durant's, highlights on YouTube and they mimic everything they do after him. Or, I've heard this countlessly about so many other players, Steph Curry, LeBron, and I've never really thought about like how, people are applying that in other sports and this new generation that's coming in that's so much more technology adept, to leverage stuff like that. And I mean, I've been watching Dylan Raiola. I mean, he's fantastic. He's still raw too. I mean, that's only
the thing. He can get so much better, but what is he? 5 touchdowns to 1 interception so far this season.
He's got a cannon of an arm too. I mean, he can throw the ball.
But I mean, I saw a play last week. He climbs the pocket. He's looking to his left, and then a guy comes open to his right, and he doesn't look back. He just throws it, and I mean, on the money. It wasn't even in doubt. He's just playing the game right now at such an incredibly high level that it's hard to imagine a situation where Nebraska can't score whatever it is that they want to be able to find success. And again, it's not like Illinois' quarterback hasn't been great either. That guy's 6 touchdowns, no interceptions this year. But when you look at the competition that Nebraska's played, I think they've played just a little bit tougher competition. And I always like that whenever I see that in a team.
Well, and then you also have to think about how is Illinois going to fare against this Nebraska defense? I mean, out of the 3 games they've played so far, the most amount of points Nebraska has given up in a game was 10 to Colorado. Colorado has a, pretty decent quarterback themselves. So, with this being Illinois' first road game of the season, and then having to take on this stingy Nebraska defense that, like I said, I watched them do this whole, 4 down goal line stand when they're up 31 points just to prevent another score to Northern Iowa last week. I definitely have some concerns for Luke Altmaier, who's the quarterback for Illinois. He's been very impressive so far, kind of similar numbers to Raiola with the lesser interceptions. But, this is going to be a step up in talent, for both of these teams and who, they're playing. So it'll be, a fun one to watch, certainly on a Friday where, the rest of the slate's pretty bare. So, these guys are going to really be center stage. That game is on Fox. It starts at 5:00 on Friday. And as far as the betting pick goes, I sounds like kind of our recommendation here is going to be Nebraska spread. But you may potentially want to consider looking to do an alternate spread because, like Keon said, that line opened at 6.
It opened, at least when I saw it yesterday, it was 6. I don't know if that's where it opened, but yesterday it was 6. Now it's 8.5, and in some places I've even seen it at 9.
So clearly, the public likes one side of this, and it's pushing the line in a direction. So
I mean, unless you get some sharp bettors starting to go the other way, I would move on that as quickly as possible.
Maybe there's some wealthy Illini boosters out there that just bet, they just throw out the money with their pride. There's no implied probability going into it.
There's some people that are definitely like that.
So next ranked matchup to get into here, it's number 11 USC with their first Big Ten clash against number 18 Michigan, and this game is taking place at Michigan. USC is the betting favorite on this one. It looks like they are favored by about 5 points right now. Keon, I mean, are you immediately kind of leaning one way or the other on this matchup? Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny because I've been very critical about USC and their defense and the way that they've played it in the past, but I mean, like over the past season even, but like this defense has made a pretty dramatic turnaround as far as what they looked like a year ago, where it was just broken tackles left and right. It always felt like USC would have to go out there and score 1 million points to even have a chance of being in the game. They don't have to do that anymore. Granted, they still can score a lot of points. I mean, this is a Lincoln Riley offense. They're an incredibly impressive team. But that being said, like I really enjoy watching the Trojans play offense and defense for the first time in God knows how long. The two sides of the ball working together for them. It's been a very long time since we've seen it. And one of the things that I'm really interested in is are the Trojans going to be able to continue to have that good defensive play against the Michigan team that was trying to bounce back a week ago? They had a slow start to their season and obviously a disappointing loss. They had a bounce back game. Are they getting things rolling, or is USC's defense going to be too much?
So USC on the money line, and this is just going on FanDuel, they're priced at -220. So you've got Michigan as a dog at home at very close to 2-1 odds, +180. So, I mean, it's a very admittedly uninformed opinion. I did see USC play against LSU where they did win. That was a neutral site game, and they looked sharp. Lincoln Riley is running a tight ship. He's got, everything, working the way that he wants to. But this Michigan team, I did see that game that they played at home against Texas, where Texas really just kind of mopped the floor with them. And I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt because this Texas team is really, really good this year. I mean, I don't think anyone
they're loaded.
Yeah,
they're loaded.
I mean, you lose the guy that is currently priced to be the favorite for the Heisman, and then they just plug and play Arch Manning in there, whose like Heisman odds significantly jump up because he goes for 5 touchdowns and they just don't skip a beat against UTSA. So, I look at that loss to Texas at home as just kind of more of like an anomaly for Michigan. I don't think you can really kind of think about them as like being outside of like the top 15, even though they're ranked like 18. Like realistically, I mean, this program is a brand and they're consistently this good year after year. So I personally am seeing a bit of value on taking Michigan money line, just being at home. USC, how many times, I mean, have they ever even played at Michigan before? Because that's going to be a very different environment from, Pac-12 play and, what they've been doing in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure they have because, college football we've got 150 years of it. I'm sure at some point USC has played at Michigan. But this version of this USC team has not played this version of this Michigan team ever. The coaching staffs, whatever, like all of that stuff would be very, very different. I'm very interested in Michigan having an opportunity to prove themselves against a quality opponent that isn't Texas. Texas was going to go in there and beat them up regardless of what they were going to do. They've got a quarterback who is, they got a brand new quarterback. You got a brand new head coach in Sharon Moore taking over from Jim Harbaugh, who went to LA to coach the Chargers. So there's a lot of turnover at Michigan, and they're not quite as stable. And so, even before the Texas game, when they were playing Fresno State, like they did struggle a little bit against Fresno State. They got the win, and it wound up being a pretty convincing, solid win. I think they won that 30-10, but there was a slow start there. Then they get beaten up by Texas a little bit. And then Arkansas State, it wasn't a cleanly executed game for them, but they did go up against a team with worse athletes than them. They just out-athleted them to a win. Can you do that against USC? Not really. But they do have the players that if they execute, this is going to be a really good, really close football game.
For anyone that's curious, the last time USC took a visit to Ann Arbor, it was 1958.
Oh my God.
66 years ago. The last time that program traveled to the state of Michigan was 37 years ago. 1987, they played at Michigan State.
Neither of us were alive.
I mean, so yes, they played there before, but for all intents and purposes,
not really.
Not really.
The entire roster and perhaps most of the coaches weren't even born the last time this happened. So, that's an interesting fact.
There could be something to account for in that. Now, kind of moving on here, because there is another ranked matchup that I want to make sure we have a little bit of time to chat about here. It's number 6, Tennessee, taking on number 15, Oklahoma. This game is going to be on ABC this coming Saturday in the afternoon. And I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name, but his first name is Nico, the quarterback for Tennessee. He is arguably the best quarterback right now in college football. I mean, he's got just under 700 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns so far. Tennessee is undefeated, as is Oklahoma. So this is a pretty exciting matchup, one of the more anticipated ones. I think I'm naturally going to be leaning Tennessee here, Keon. And as I'm pulling up the odds, how are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, the odds, by the way, at least what I've found, Oklahoma, the underdog by 7 points there, and Tennessee obviously favored the -319 money line, whereas Oklahoma's +250. I like Tennessee in this game. I just think that Tennessee's offense is a nightmare. I mean, it's just genuinely the NCAA may have made, I don't want to say a mistake, but they made a decision to allow linemen to go further downfield, even without having any real blocking responsibilities, which was something that you couldn't do in the past. Tennessee's just taken full advantage of that, and they abuse it, quite frankly. And look, those are the rules. So they figured out a way to get ahead with them. And that makes them a very tough team to prepare for. Even if you know what Tennessee wants to do, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can stop it. And then you look at Oklahoma's defense, which normally is a really, really good defense. Brent Venables, the head coach, is a defensive-minded coach, and they've always had quality defenses. And I think he is starting to get them back on track, but they've underachieved this season. And so I'm interested in what this defense is going to do when it comes across a very odd spread out, vertical attacking Tennessee offense. I just think Tennessee has the edge just based on how they choose to play football.
So sounds like we're on the same page there. Real quickly, before we go to a break, our Arizona State Sun Devils are taking on Texas Tech in Lubbock. How are we thinking about this one? ASU is currently priced as the underdog plus 122 on the money line. And it is a 3.5 point spread favoring Texas Tech. Does ASU have enough juice to get past Texas Tech here and keep the winning going?
I think they do. I really do. And now, granted, it's not going to be easy because Texas Tech is not like a great football team, but obviously ASU is rebuilding too. I think that going into Lubbock to beat the Red Raiders in their house is a little bit of a tall order, but I think that we saw what this team was made of when they went down in San Marcos, Texas. They were playing Texas State. The Bobcats get that 2-touchdown lead, and then ASU, they don't panic. Sam Levitt uses his legs, then uses his arm, gets them back in the game. Cameron Scadaboo closes the thing out. I don't see why that formula could not work against this Texas Tech team, because a lot of the same things that apply to Texas State kind of apply to Texas Tech a little bit in terms of Texas Tech feels pretty confident in their ability to play the run, but I don't think that necessarily means that you can stop it just because you know Cameron Scadaboo is coming. Lots of people have tried to slow him down. Lots of people have known the offense is focused around him. Has it reliably helped people stop him? Not that I've seen. So, yeah, no, I give ASU a really good chance to win this football game, and I think that they're going to continue turning heads.
I like ASU on the money line as well. You know, something to consider. I think this has to be a more comfortable game for ASU compared to last week. There was definitely some pressure, coming, from the ASU, fans, from the program. You've got this momentum of a 2-0 start. Now you're going to, a much smaller program. Granted, it's your first road game, but there's definitely an expectation, with us being a big Power 5 school, that we're not going to lose that game. And then on the other side, Texas State was like treating it like it was the absolute biggest game in the history of the program. And you saw
and it kind of was.
It kind of was. I mean, their fans came out in full force. So ASU had to go up against some arguably more difficult circumstances, and they overcame them. They really, kind of showed their true colors, and all this work that Kenny Dillingham has put into the program is really starting to pay off. So now they get to go into a game where it's on the road, same state where they just were last week. Texas Tech does absolutely not consider this the most important game in the history of the program. So I'm almost skeptical as to how many fans they even get to come out to come watch good old ASU, which, doesn't have the biggest football reputation. So this could really be a spot where ASU catches Texas Tech sleeping, and they're able to give them a knockout punch and keep everything going.
Yeah, and look, this is a Texas Tech team that can. I think their defense can be had. So there's that as well. So ASU adding speed to their offense. I'm very excited about this game. We're gonna go to break and come back and get to the picks today. We don't have very, very much time, but I just want to wrap up by saying Texas Tech leads this series 3-2. They haven't played each other since 2017. And Texas Tech won that game in a shootout 52-45. That game was also in Lubbock, Texas. You're listening to Beat the Book, and this is 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Hey, football fans, Michael Vick here. I had an advantage. My legs were a weapon. 6,109 rushing yards, still unbeaten records. That's why I bet at BetUS.com. They offer American sports bettors an advantage. The industry's biggest bonus, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. And get expert picks and predictions on their very own BetUS TV. Take advantage. Join me online at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. BetUS, where the game begins.
AZ Preps 365, your source for all the news, info, highlights, and more. Athlete news and interviews. Talk with coaches. Keep you up to date with the changes, moves, upcoming events, and more. AZ Preps 365, Arizona's ultimate prep sports show. If you miss a minute, you miss a lot. AZ Preps 365, Saturday mornings 8 till 10 on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. And always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
Now open in Scottsdale. It's United Forte Custom Door Showroom with 40,000 Euro doors and hundreds of state-of-the-art designs and finishes on display, plus kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and more, all at wholesale prices. Builders, contractors, designers, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, P-O-R-T-E. Stop by to see and feel the quality. United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
Hi, guys. Jeffrey O'Brien here. Have you ever gone to harmonsolar.com? Well, you really need to, because everything you ever wanted to know about how solar power can save you big on your monthly electric bill is right there. It's online. Through your phone or through your computer, you can learn about tax credits, the equipment they use, look at how they do things for businesses as well as homeowners, see testimonials from happy customers, and I hear they got a pretty good podcast, too. Check it out. Go to harmonsolar.com. That's harmonsolar.com.
In most countries of the world, Forte means door. United Forte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, P-O-R-T-E. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
So here we are. Going to get you those picks for today and let you know what Dylan's thinking and why we're going in certain directions. But Dylan, you were telling me during the break you had some good news for once for the Diamondbacks.
Game just ended, and D-backs finally get a win in this Rockies series. So we avoid the sweep. Final score 9-4. 2 home runs from our boy Corbin Carroll. So just three runs scored in the game. He's doing everything he needs to do to keep his lead on most runs over the last 30 days.
What do we have to do to make it so that Corbin Carroll is playing his best baseball when the rest of the team is also playing their best baseball? It seems like we get a good Diamondbacks team or we get just good Corbin Carroll. Can we have both? Please. Is that too much to ask?
It shouldn't be too much to ask. And one other thing too, this was actually the most impressive part. Eduardo Rodriguez, 11 strikeouts, only 2 earned runs. And up until Joe Mantiply came into the game to close it, bullpen had not allowed any runs. Mantiply did allow 2, but it kind of goes back to what I was saying yesterday. It's like the way that we have to win these games now is just to overwhelm the other team with offense. And if we're, only up by a run or maybe 2 runs and we're getting this late in the game, you just don't feel good. But, if you're the Diamondbacks, and this is also what I said the other day, the Diamondbacks scored 6 runs in the first 2 innings. So again, any game where the Diamondbacks put up 5 or more runs in the first 3 innings, I'm going to have to just I've been avoiding it, but I might have to literally go through it one by one and just do the research. I'm very curious to know. They might be undefeated. Who knows?
It's distinctly possible. On the text line, we've got Big George. He says, hello, Keon and Dylan. Happy hump day. Well. It looks like the Diamondbacks have responded nicely today after laying an egg last night. Unfortunately, they've put themselves in a situation where they need to win 3 out of 4 against the Brewers in Milwaukee, a tall task. And then we've got the moist one as well texting in saying that he needs this music on the blender. Love Busta Rhymes. So, you can't, because you don't want every show to sound the same.
I really appreciate just Moist One.
The Moist One,
the effort that goes into curating the music, and it's it's needed some more. So we've added some more. You're going to hear some more fresh stuff, and
this is all Dylan, guys. This is all stuff that Dylan's pulled that we've put in the computer. So Thank him.
The show is a reflection of my personality, what I like, Keon as well. So hopefully this kind of gravitates towards a different audience than the Blender, but at the same time, there can be some overlap there.
Yeah.
We all happen to like good music. So but want to shout out some of these picks before we sign off today. Again, you can just search Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen in your browser. You can follow me on Instagram, hit the link in the bio. My handle is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out, or you can get there through the 1580thefanatic.com website. But the picks today are going to be for baseball because that's really all we have to work with. So first pick is in the Phillies and Brewers game, and the AI associate for CRC Broadcasting did recommend to back the Phillies on the money line as underdogs. I've got a whole explanation on it, so you can check that out on the Beat the Book page. Second pick is in the New York Yankees and Seattle Mariners game, and AI likes the Yankees on the money line. So again, there are explanations for those picks, so you can check those out. There are 10 additional other bets to consider, and another long shot parlay if you want to take that emotional roller coaster ride with us. So make sure you visit that site to check that stuff out. And if you don't happen to catch the whole show live, or if you joined us halfway and you want to try and figure out what was going on in the earlier part of the show, every show that we do is getting posted as a podcast to Apple Podcast and to Spotify. So if you have those services, just search Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen. You'll see the podcast episodes come up, and then you can listen to the full episode there and hear about any other picks that you maybe didn't get to catch in time. But I think that's all we got.
Yeah, and by the way, with the podcast of the show, we try to do as much work as we can to make sure it goes up as soon as possible, so that those bets for today, you actually get to hear them and act on them, as quickly as you can. Obviously, throughout the day, the line is going to move from one point to another. So Dylan puts out the picks earlier in the day, the line's going to move by the time you get to it, and then by the time the show happens, a lot of these games start in the next hours afterwards. So we get it up there pretty quick if you really wanted to hear it. But if you want to be able to act on some of these bets before the podcast gets up, I highly recommend you get yourself on down to 1580thefanatic.com. Scroll down until you see Dylan's face, the Beat the Book logo. And then you click on that, and you've got all the blog posts for not just today's, but also the other days, if you want to see how the picks have been going and maybe track it that way.
And the picks are posted Monday through Friday by noon at the latest. So if you just want to get in the habit of checking that site by noon, you'll see the new picks posted. Sometimes I get them up there earlier. Sometimes there's research that has to be done, and it gets a little time consuming. But as long as you check that page by noon on any given day, you will see the new picks posted for the day.
And there you have it. We've got another Beat the Book in the books, and we'll be back tomorrow. By the way, for those of you perhaps wanting to sit around and chat, no Daily Blender today, so we'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna have to probably stand trial in front of some tribunal or something. I don't know. That's just the way that it goes. Beat the Book. I'm Keon. That's Dylan. See y'all tomorrow.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated. And you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. We find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them. With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise. No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures. It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
Don't miss a minute of the action when Sun Devil football returns to Mountain America Stadium Saturday, October 5th.